Welcome to another Photoshop tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to work with a template file, a Photoshop template file. Recently I did a project that I created a book cover, and I thought some of you might be interested in how to make that for yourself. I'm going to go to my documents and show you that book cover in case you didn't see that post. Here is the cover that I created. Technically, I did this in InDesign, but you can just as easily accomplish this in Photoshop, and I actually made you a template for this for Photoshop, which is what most people have. So you can see how I have all these images for the cover of our book. I kind of wanted to just show an overview of our year, and then I created this artwork for the center. This is what your template is going to be, is this center art here. This is an 8.5 by 11 inch roughly book, in case you're curious that this was created for. So once again, this is the cover, that type of cover that you can create. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the template file, which is on my blog. If you would like to go to that article, you can get this for yourself. Go ahead, and that blog is Botanical Amy, in case you didn't notice the link. I'm going to go ahead and hit Book Cover Template. You'll see a lot of templates like this as well. I may have mentioned Designer Digitals before. That's a company that I like buying scrapbooking supplies from, even though I can make some of that stuff myself. A lot of times I find things I like, and it just saves me a lot of time, and it's fun to use their work. Like I said, this is the book cover template. You can see it says Center Art, and I numbered everything so it's easy to find. For example, if you look over in your Layers panel, right now I'm actually on the Center Art panel. If I click the little eyeball on and off, you can see how that disappears. That'll help you when you're trying to work with this. I did include in this template the images that I clipped for my final book, just to kind of see how this can be used. So I do have that sample there. You'll probably want to delete that layer when you create yours. Once again, here's the final book. Here's our template. Now we need to start opening up some pictures. I'm going to go ahead and start with Center Art, since that's what I'm clicked on. I'm going to go to File, Open, and I have this graphic called First Page that I created in Photoshop. I'm going to go to Select All, or Command or Control A. I'm going to go ahead and copy and then paste into this file here. If you scroll down, you can see, since I was clicked on Center Art, that graphic went right on top of it, which is where I want it to be. I'm going to hit Command or Control T to resize this. Just so you know, I say Command or Control because Mac people need to hit Command, PC people need to hit Control. So I'm going to resize this and hit the little green check when I'm happy with it. And now I need to create a clipping mask. A clipping mask will make this clip to the layer below it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Create Clipping Mask, and you can see how this is now perfectly fitting within that little rectangle that I had labeled Center Art. In case you were curious, I'll just hide this real quick. That Center Art, the reason that doesn't show up is because when you do a clipping mask, it doesn't matter what colors are in the layer that's being clipped to. It will just clip to where there's a pixel, a color of any sort. You can see once again how that Folkstead family is in there, and if I have the Move tool, oops, wrong thing. If I have the Move tool and I select on the layer with my graphic, I can actually shift and move this as I go. I'm going to go ahead and start putting pictures in. So square one, right there, I can go ahead and open up a picture. And I'm going to go ahead and pick this one right here. This was my 2-year-old who was being a goober and trying to help me when I was working one night late. It was probably 10, 11 o'clock at night. He refused to go to bed. Anyways, I think it's a pretty cute picture of him. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this and paste it into the document. Once again, it's time saver. You'll notice I had clicked on square one, so when I pasted it, it was right on top of that layer. When you're doing this, you might go ahead and do yourself a favor and call these layers names so that you can easily figure out what you're moving. I'm going to call this picture Hunter Late. Once again, now I can take my Move tool and move this over to that one. You can see how this is way too big, so I'm going to hit that Command or Control T to free transform. By the way, that is, I'll show you real quick where that is. That is in Image. Sorry, it's in a different spot depending on which version you have. Photoshop or Photoshop Elements. Under Edit, I can go to Transform. Actually, there's this free transform right there. There are some other transform options here as well, but this free transform. I just find it really easy to hit the shortcut key. Another really important thing to pay attention to is there's this little lock icon. If you click on that, that'll make sure that the proportions stay the same with this picture. The other thing you can do is hit the shift key, so I can hold that shift key down and that'll keep it from doing weird things. Because what you don't want is that. That will look bad. Make sure you keep those proportions constrained. When you are done, make sure you hit the check. Then you can once again go to your layer, create clipping mask. Now, obviously Hunter's head's cut off. That's not good, but what's nice is since it's a clipping mask, I can just move this down and play with the size here. There he is in place. Go ahead, open up your next image. So now I can go ahead and pick another picture. I'm going to go ahead and go to my family album folder, 2014. I actually, when I do a cover and I do a lot of pictures, I actually make a folder called Favorite Pics so that I have the pictures I want to use in the cover all in one spot. I'll go ahead and open this one of my husband and Hunter again. Poor Robert's getting left out on this, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste. There we go. Paste it in here. Okay. Now, I wasn't paying attention. I want this on top of square 2, so I'm just going to drag this down. Another little tip for you. When you're resizing, I'm hitting Control T again. This is huge. I'm going to just hit this little corner here, this upper left corner, hit the little lock to make sure it doesn't distort on me, and I'm going to hit 20%. See how quick that was? Just a little time saver. Instead of dragging the corners, you can use those percentages. I'm going to go ahead and create a clipping mask. So Layer, Create Clipping Mask. Oops. And actually, a lot of times I just use this little shortcut, this Alt Control G. So once again, now I can move this around within this shape. Now I've got this funny black. Obviously, if you look at my original, it was not on black, right? I had this kind of paper texture behind it. I actually just used a paper behind this. That's how I got that paper back there. So let's go down, scroll down through your layers, and you can see the layer called background paper. I'm going to go ahead and hit File, Open. Once again, go to my desktop where I have my digital scrapbooking supplies. Click on Papers, and I'm pretty sure I used this Burke's Lane Solids. I can't quite remember, but I think this is maybe what I used. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up, select it, copy it, and once again, with my background paper layer selected, hit that paste. That just saves me some time dragging things. Now you can see how this paper is in the background, and you can kind of move it around a little bit. Now I need to go to Layer, Create Clipping Mask, and you can see how now that paper shows up and borders these little squares nicely. I am not going to clip to each of these individual pictures, but you can see how this works now. If you ever see one of these Photoshop template files that have all these little squares that you can make a layout for your albums, that's a good way to do it. If you want to make your own, all you have to do is take this little rectangle tool and start making your own squares. This is not on the top, obviously, so that's not going to work. Let me just drag this up so you can see where I put that. You can see how I can drag these and reshape these. I could do this. Hit my little check, make another copy of it. You can see how you could quickly make a series of shapes and then clip to these. Obviously, you wouldn't clip to these over the top of this, but that's one way to create a template like this. All right, I hope this was helpful. Once again, just quickly show you my original. This was created in InDesign, but it's very, very simple to do this in Photoshop. You can find a lot of templates like this online, layouts that you can clip your pictures to, and of course you can go to my blog, Botanical Amy, to get the template to create this.